For decades, the world was told a lie about what happened in this forest. But in 1943, when soldiers started digging, they found something the Soviet Union tried to erase from history forever. It started with bodies in a pine forest. In April 1943, near Katyn, German soldiers pushed aside the soil to find rows of uniforms, identity tags, and corpses laid out like animals. One excavation even turned up a ledger of names. Photographs and film footage showed the ranks and medals of the fallen. The stakes were massive. The Polish government in London demanded the truth. The Soviet government claimed these were victims of Nazi crimes. Meanwhile, the Allies whispered in the shadows and looked away. Go back to 1939. Poland had been wiped off the map. As the Red Army crossed the border, thousands of officers, police, and professionals were arrested. They vanished into a network of camps, places like Kozelsk and Starobelsk. Families waited for news, but they got only silence. But these weren't just names on a map. They were the last places these men were seen alive. On March 5, 1940, the tension reached a breaking point. We now know that a secret memo was sent to Joseph Stalin recommending the execution of these prisoners. The order was signed. Between April and May, execution squads moved in. Each victim was killed with a single shot to the back of the head. Their bodies were dumped in mass graves at Katyn, Mednoy, and Kharkiv. Then came the discovery. When the Germans announced the find in 1943, they invited international experts to see the truth. Pathologists confirmed the deaths happened in 1940, long before the Germans arrived. But what investigators found next would change everything. As the world reacted to the grisly discovery, the Soviet response wasn't just a denial, it was the start of a decades-long campaign to rewrite the past. They launched their own investigation and blamed Germany. Allied leaders like Churchill and Roosevelt faced an impossible choice: expose a war crime or keep Stalin as an ally against Hitler. In the end, politics won. At the Nuremberg trials, the Soviets actually blocked the evidence of Katyn from being heard. The cover-up spread. In Poland, the new communist authorities arrested anyone who asked too many questions. History books were rewritten. For decades, the Soviet Union kept the lie alive in every classroom. Yet, the truth refused to stay buried. Families kept hidden lists and photos in their attics. One detail is almost too strange to believe. Among the bodies, investigators found a violin with a shipping sticker and a rosary. These tiny personal items became the proof that could not be argued with. Finally, as the Cold War ended, the walls came down. In 1990, Soviet authorities finally admitted the truth. The NKVD had carried out the massacre. 2 years later, archival files, including that original execution order from 1940, were handed over to Poland. It was the confirmation families had waited 50 years to hear. So, who was held accountable? Almost no one. The men who planned it died of old age or were killed by the same system they served. No international court ever punished the killers. In Poland, the victims finally have their monuments. In Russia, the debate still lingers. But the paper trail is clear. These men weren't just casualties of war, they were victims of a brutal political calculation. The question isn't whether the massacre happened. The real question is, how long can power tell a lie about the dead before the earth itself insists on the truth?